All right, guys. I wanted you guys to see this. This is OCGN, which we talked about earlier, not having a perfect base. Now you can see that after, it starts to hold this level, right? When it starts to perk here, you have that ABCD pattern looking up. So this can be your C, your entry mark right here at the 1250s. And I'd be risking, you know, uh, this this consolidation right here. Could it hold the 12s? I want to see if it can hold the 12s. Um, and if it can hold the 12s, now you have a good risk reward where you're only betting basically 50 cents, which is really a small fraction when we talk about stocks that are in the $12, $10, 11, $12 range. And I'm on the phone with my broker. Sorry, guys, but waiting on my broker. But this right here has a high risk reward. It's high risk reward. Why? Because it has a base. It has based at higher lows, right? Than the previous lows. It's based higher, and so now you buy it here. You risk that 50 cents a share, basically. That roughly 50 cents a share. Now it's not a hard stop, 50 cents a share, but it's a feel. Once you start to see, all right, there's volume here. It looks good, right? It looks pretty good. So it's based on the high levels on volume. So that's why I want to buy. Okay. Um, let's say if I bought it here, right? You say, okay, I'm risking around this 12, over under 12. That's what we call it, over and under 12. So what that literally means is I'm gonna let it. If it does go to 12, I want to test it. I want to see it test how far does it go over 12. Because you can see that's where most of the trades have been, has it been around this 12. That's what we call VWAP. And if I switch here, I want to switch to see OCG. Sorry, guys, I had to OCGN for us to see OCGN on the Yahoo account. Now it's different, but I want you to see it usually has a um, daily VWAP. So the VWAP here, as we're waiting on this, is the volume weighted average price, which means it's simply traded at that same level for about most of the day, right? So the VWAP here is 1136. I thought it would have been even a little bit higher, but this did start early in the day around 8. So I would be looking at around this level. Like I said, now we talked about that 1250s, buying around that 1250 area, and guess what? Right now it's working. It's at 1266. So it may be gearing to try to test, retest that high up here because it's starting to base at lower levels. Whenever you start to make a floor and then you go up and make another floor, it's like you're building an apartment. I want to buy trades that are building an apartment. So it has to show that it's going to build an apartment for me. It doesn't have to, it doesn't need to show me just one level floor and then just ripping through, because 99.9% of the time, that's not what it's going to do. But if the actual trade is showing you, okay, I'm going to build a base at this level, it doesn't have to be pretty because, it did base, try to base here, push up. You don't buy it here. You want to buy a base, right? So you're not going to buy this base because you don't know how far it can go down. There's no other base below it, right? Think about it. If there's no base beneath your house, then you just go straight down to the middle of the ground. That's not what we're buying. We're buying base level. So here you can start seeing the base higher low, right? Higher low. You could buy it here at 1164 due to the fact of what? There's a base there, so you have a risk reward level. Now, I want to do a super high probability risk reward. I may even wait until, I start to see it start to base like it is now at this 1255 level. Well, that's what I was looking at, the 1250ish level, as we saw it a few minutes ago. And, I'm like, okay, I want to buy it here and I want to risk this 12. because now it's shown me that it has multiple levels of basing, which increases the odds of it going up. Multiple levels higher of basing. That's what we're looking for. Every time it goes up and pulls back, right? That's the first base. If you can look at this straight line, and this black line, that's the first base level. If you look left, right? So next, you want the same thing to happen. After a push and it pulls back, you want a higher low or a higher floor. The same thing for the next level, right? And then when it starts to go again, you're like, okay, let's just buy this, right? Because at 1250, I can risk the 12 or the 1180 stop, and if it goes under it, the 12, and it kind of tried to hold here, you know, um, hold at 12 area, and it still's over 12, and it's holding 1226 and all of that, then it's a feel. Like I said, it's a feel, and you have to see that. But OCGN is working beautifully on camera, and you know is trying to have some volume here. Based on what the volume it's had earlier this morning, is looking pretty similar. Other than this, just huge volume bar out the gate. Um, but other than that, it's working. And you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This is one of the perfect live examples where you can actually see a trade work on camera, right here. So, with that being said, this one I'll actually wait a few minutes so we can see it, try to retest the higher levels here of 13.99. Let's see if it bases at the 13 levels here, or just pops. Because if it pops and tries to hold there, then you gotta think about it. This is up 146%, 148% a day, basically. So now you have a chance to have what we call a short squeeze. Anything that's up a lot, there's bound to be some type of short seller in it. And the short selling is not bad, but you got to know when, right? And this is not a short sell time because it's basing at higher levels. At every single level is basing. So the moment it hit 1250, and I say this was a buy, now it's up over $1, and over $1 on my trade almost. At 1250, from 1250 to now 1350. It allows you to see these trades in real time. And this is one of the better trades right here, that you'll end up having. You'll be like, this is a perfect trade. And why did we get this perfect trade? Because we waited. Now you see what we call a short squeeze, which allows multiple points of buying. That's what I talk about. So this short squeeze, we all know that short squeezes come from short sellers who have to buy back the shares. So what that simply means is a transaction between trades have to be either bought and sold first, or sold and then bought. And then if they're sold and then bought, that's called short selling. You sell it first, or you bet against it at a higher price. And we talk about that extensively in other videos. But when you have to buy back your shares, you're actually buying shares of the stock. It's not like you're in a buying position, but you had to close your position, and that's how you close your position. And so now you get that short squeeze. And so now people who had a hard stop or set a limit order at the 1381, which means they set that limit order. So if it did get higher than that 1381, then they wanted to be out of their short. Now a lot of people put it there. That's why I just jumped $1 a share. At the same time, OCGN, I'll be looking at this throughout the day. OCGN, you see the volume bar down here at the bottom. That blue volume bar. This is the volume that I was talking about. This is a perfect trade. This is an A+ setup. So from 1250, and this only took about, what was that? This only took from 11:15 to 11:25. So it is a short amount of time, but at the same time, that doesn't matter. It wasn't hard to catch. It was easy. It was simple. And right now, I would take partial profits. But then I would take 50% profits here. I wouldn't take 100% due to the fact It's actually holding this 14 level. It's holding this 14 level. The 14 level is the breakout, basically. 1388, 14. It's holding that breakout level. And now, since it's holding that breakout level, you see this. This is a perfect ABCD pattern where you have A, then you have B, the pullback, initial pullback, right? And then the confirmation of the base, because you don't know if it's going to base or not right here. Then once it starts to base, it moves up, and it made that floor down here, that basement floor. Then it said, okay, now let's see if I can go up to the front of the living room and make a base here. And it made a beautiful base, right? It didn't ramp all the way up. It pulled back, and it said, okay, I want to make a base here, which is higher than here. And it made a double bedroom suite. And after that, and it started to lift here, now you have a perfect triple layer, double layer right here, but triple layer of support, due to the fact of, you waited for a base. And this is a perfect setup as much as it can be. So buying this at the 1250 level, like we said, you can see you have $2 a share of risk of reward versus the 50 cents, which is like 4-to-1 risk reward, which is amazing risk reward level, because now you're thinking, okay, this could possibly keep trading well, and that's what you want. Now it's starting to look like it's having problems in that 14 area. I'm trying to look at the volume here. If the volume stays strong, you could have stayed in there. To be honest, because guess what? It's still, you still have to account for this being a breakout over this 1388 level. Now, if this 1388 level doesn't hold, you want to see it test over and under. You don't want to just get out if it doesn't hold a 1388 level. You could, but since it already broke out, remember when you watch the breakout series, you'll see that breakouts have multiple points of buying as well. When you can either buy the breakout, right? You can buy before the breakout like we did on this ABCD pattern, which means A is the random push that no one knows about. B is the lowest point here, which again no one knows about. Now C is where it gets understandable, because C is the point of entry, which we had over here, but it comes only after we see it base and create a basement floor here. I like how it creates floors. That's what we're looking at, that base, the base. All right, and then even here, it bases a little bit higher than it did over here. It bases, and so when it perks, and this to me right here is a buy, in this area. And you don't have to try to anticipate it, because you still have a whole bunch of money still left over here. I don't think the stock is finished. That's why I said, let it, and so that's what ABCD is. So that's another way of buying the breakout. And the last way of buying the breakout is letting it retest the old breakout level. See if it'll create a floor over the breakout level. Because now if it creates a floor, another base over this breakout level, if you look left, right, I'll draw this line. And if you have TD Ameritrade, all you gotta do is tap the thing and just pull all the way over and click it. But the line, you don't even need the line. The cursor shows you, if you look left, where the breakout level was. So now it looks like it's base in here, right? The 14s is trying to hold over this 1388 level. So that's what I'm looking at. Is the 1388 level just going to crack and stay under, or is it going to stay over the 1388 level, start to hold at 14 level, and keep strong volume? This is midday, guys. So this is a breakout midday, which usually, like we always say, without volume, it usually fails. It usually fails. So that's why I said at least take 70%. I think I said 50%, but I mean at least 70, 80% here, right? on most trades from 1250 to 14, that's it. That's all we want, right? That's all we want. And if you have a re-entry point, or you missed a breakout here and you haven't been watching it, it's okay, because now you can see it. If it starts to base here, like it's trying to base, right? It tried to pull down a few times. Let's say it bases here. If it doesn't, fine. But if it bases over this 1388 level, this is another level where you can say, okay, I'll buy here on the base at 1414 when it starts to grind up, and I'll only risk 1384 breakout level. And if it starts to crack under that breakout level extremely hard, then guess what? I'm out. If it cracks under this breakout level, from that what looked like a base to maybe 1366 or something, then I'm out. Because you think it can keep going. If you buy that 1440, 1414, maybe you're thinking it can go 15. But the higher it is, the more chances it could be topped out. That's why topped out means the very top, and could be buying the top. Now, to avoid that, that's why we say we want to see it base like we did here, and we want to see if it can base here. And so far, it's so good, right? It perked under this breakout level for a second at 1368, like we talked about. But guess what? It came right back to over 14. And now this one, as low as 1399, but now it's at 1424. So like I said, this could be an extra entry here, due to the fact that you have, multiple points of buying. You have people who want to buy the breakout. You also have, people who, shorted this stock and maybe are holding their short because it's right, it's just right over the breakout level, and they're holding their short. And as soon as this perks, now you have a situation, because you have short sellers not only covering, but you have multiple point of buyers, because a short seller would be a buyer. Then you have a person who wants to buy the breakout, who wants to be a buyer, and people may want to add to their position. You have multiple points of buyers, and the only people I can see selling is really no one right now, because it's going up, it's going in your favor. So why would you sell it? Unless you've been in there since the threes or fours or something. So that's what I wanted to show you guys. As you can see, it's still even broke out here over that level here. And this may just keep going and going and going and going and communicating, just padding up and just keep going, because guess what? It all started with the proper risk reward. Now, did I know it could, possibly do this? Yes, if, it got here. But did I know this was the one, or would be the one to do all of this? Not necessarily, but I had a good hunch based on the fact that this was up so much, and there was still a lot of volume and created a lot of base levels, at higher lows. This level you don't know, but it starts to base. You say, okay, I'm just take note, right? And you keep it on watch. And here it starts to base again. You're taking note, because now you're liking it, and you see that it's not going down, even though it's up so much. And so now around here, you're like, okay, let's just buy it around here, because it has a decent risk reward where I can make at least double of what I would lose on this trade. And the higher the risk reward level, the higher chances I would buy it, because it makes more sense for me to trade it based on the chart pattern and based on what I see as far as the actual chart play out. The volume is another one. You like, okay, there's other people looking at this as well. So there must be multiple, buyers here. If it just keeps basing here, that means, okay, there's some people buying it and making a wall here. I don't want to be those people, but they're the ones making the wall, so you can climb up the stairs. They're the ones that make the floor, right? The floors at higher levels, so you can walk on them. You don't want to, buy the base. You want to buy over the base, right? You want to walk on top of this. And if that falls through, then you want to get out. But the fact that it didn't, it shows strength. And that's why you see this breakout. And even now, you see it breaking out even more. And so that's why I wanted to show you guys. Go back, look at this a lot of times because this is alive. And, you know, you'll see more of these. You'll see more of these. But this is just perfect setup. It's perfect, perfect, perfect. Um, And, remember I told you to sell only about 70% of your position. Well, it's because you don't want your whole position size to have to go through this pullback under the breakout level when you're looking at it and you're like, is it going to hold? Is it going to hold? Is it going to hold? I never liked it. And so that's why I start, you know, selling into the breakout push. So when I say, it breaks out here, I would sell, I think I said somewhere in here, it's okay. It's okay not to have full size and you actually trade you have maybe full size here, whatever that size may be, whatever you're comfortable with. But for me, this is a high probability setup, so I'm putting most of my chips in the coin because I know I can make X amount, or I can make that at least 12% on this trade and then some. If you pull out a calculator, just look at, I want you to pull out a calculator and calculate 12.5 and then times, however many shares you will be able to buy it within your account with. Let's just say for me, 1,000 shares. For me, it may be 1,000 shares. For you, it may be, 400 shares or 100 shares or 500 shares or, whatever. It may be 200 shares, right? Or even lower than that. It may be 50, 75 shares. But at the same time, your account is going to grow. Uh, you know, get that number, multiply it by the current price of 12.50, and then get that same uh, number and multiply it by, I don't know, let's just say 15, because I believe this is going to go over 15. Okay, and guess what? Now subtract the difference from the top to the bottom. Subtract the difference from the bigger number to the smaller number, and that's what you will get as a profit. That's a rough estimate. You could sell your shares right here, and that'll be fine. But still, that's 25 cents a share. That's not a big deal. It's a rough estimate, and it's accurate. And so if you take that same trade 10 times, 20 times, that's what you want. 100 times. That's the type of trade you want. You want to make that trade simply routine as possible. You can make it simply routine as possible. You know, you see, now it's starting to pull back here. I'll be getting out all shares. And guess what? I'm still up, over the breakout level from 1250. Remember, we bought all the way back here. And so you see here it was struggling in the 14s and at near 15. Now this is where the shares of the shorts, you could base here. I don't see it basing here. When you start to see that, that's what we want on the short side. So once you start to see this type of price action, now you would be waiting. Now you should be out of all your buy position, right? You saw me talking about selling right in here in the 1436 level because I could see this coming after this 15 level refused to break. So even though I thought that this could break 15, it's fine that it didn't. And guess what? I still got most of my shares here. Got them mostly out. You can even anticipate. Most of the time there is resistance at these key levels of 15, these whole numbers of 15, 14.50, $2.40, round numbers, even numbers, not, something like 14, 89, something like that. Or, you can get out right here near the 15 level. And guess what? It's your prerogative and it's smart because now you still get the full, benefit of that whole trade. And you don't have to worry about getting scared out. You don't have to worry about is it going to fall back? No, you just made $2 a share, and you made your over 12% that day. You made it. You made it on that trade. Now you just build and build and build, and that's what's going to make your account grow. It's going to make you better. It's going to make you more efficient, and it's going to make you much more hello trader. It's going to make you a better trader.